Hi, I'm Eileen Scher. I live in Rose Hill Falls, 205 Blaze Climber Way, which is right in the townhouses that are adjacent to the school. And I have a picture of how close you guys can look. It is right. We have one little narrow street between us and the fields. This is the houses in our neighborhood. We have one little narrow street between the fence of the school, which backs the fields, and where it's going to be. So it's not like very distant from us. It is right on top of us. The lights right now from my deck. I will show you another picture of we can see the tops of the trees from my let me get from my deck. We can see that you can see the top of the trees that border Julius West, and the height of those trees is not 60 feet. It's way shorter than the 60 feet and the 70 feet, and that's from my deck. So I will be seeing these lights all the time, at all these hours, every day, every evening. You will be able to see these big towers coming out. My property value will be going down, I can assure you that. But more importantly, I think 10 o'clock is way too late for them to be having these lights on. That will be keeping us up. The noise will be keeping us up. We will be having a lot of noise. Undesirable people. I know MSI is a great group, but they're going to be letting it out to anybody else every day of the week, every day of the year. And you don't know what kind of groups. NRA could could be there. We could have more. They could be allowing any group to come. There could be concerts there. There could be anything they decide to use. Now that they have these lights on, it could be any time. I don't know if there'll be any numbers we can call when the lights are on beyond those times. Who's going to be in charge of making sure they're really off? We don't know that. We don't know the neighborhood has not been involved. It has not been fair. This process, there should have been neighborhood involvement all along. You should have asked for our opinion. They should have negotiated with us. We were not consulted. They have not been involving the neighborhood, and we are impacted. The cars right now, I will tell you, there are cars parked in our neighborhood right now. So what they're saying that there is no impact on weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays when they have a lot of people. There's also a Chinese program that goes on in the school, and the church uses our neighborhood as extra parking beyond their school. So we are already having cars parked in our neighborhood for these school activities, for things that are happening in this school. When they have other things like dances, they also have an exercise group that meets at the school. There's other things that are going on at the school. So it's not just their school, the MSI soccer people that are going to be using these spaces. I also volunteer there at Julius West. I like being part of this community, and I can barely get a space there when I come there. There have been times I have to walk. I do like to walk over there, but there is no spaces. They are already limited in spaces for parking. So the parking's an issue. Noise, light, mostly the lights. I'm mostly concerned from my house, the lights and the noise that we are going to have. It's going to be a stadium. We are now inheriting a stadium that we did not know when we bought in here. So I would suggest that you guys at least limit the lights to maybe no later than 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock is way too late, and the extent of use and parking is a problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for the pictures.
Saul Gully.
Good evening. My name's Saul Gully. I live at 1113 Betts Trail Way. Thank you for taking the time to hear us. I'm the father of 4 young children. My youngest is 6. My oldest is 14. They've all played soccer. The 2 oldest are now on travel teams. I coach my 9-year-old soccer team. I've coached for MSI for about 10 years now, and I've also coached for travel teams. I've used multiple fields in the city of Rockville, and I've noticed that the availability of the fields in the city have become very limited, and it used to be that you could get 2 practice permits a week, and now you're lucky to find 1, so the field availability has been decreasing. The quality of the fields is horrendous for the most part. I've had at least 5 injuries that I can think of on the fields because of not just divots but holes in the fields. And I've also refused to use city school fields when I see these conditions because they're so dangerous. In contrast, I've never had an injury on turf in 10 years. So I think the safety is a big issue. In terms of, I think the benefit is not only to Julius West, which in and of itself I think would justify it, but to the entire community. And I've worked with recreational level soccer, travel soccer, and then MSI also has a special needs TOPS program. So the special needs kids use the fields, and they're typically limited to turf fields rather than grass because of mobility issues. So that would open it up to those residents who are underserved in the city, I believe. I don't think, as a city resident, I don't think that we should have to rely on Gaithersburg and Germantown to provide quality fields for us. We should have something close to us that's accessible rather than having to drive there. Lakelands has the turf fields, and we played on those every Thursday night, and they have poles that are as big or bigger than the ones that are proposed here. And the residential streets are very narrow, and if you cross those narrow streets, although you can see that the field's lit, it's pitch black on those sidewalks, and you can't see the light shining on any of these townhouses. And I think the proposed fields here would be ideally located because they're in the little nook between the school and I-270. I live, I would say, less than a mile away from Julius West, and I'm sort of nestled between Julius West and Wooten High School. And so we have the lights from Wooten High School, and I haven't noticed any issue with light pollution or any difficulty seeing the stars. So I'm not as concerned about that. And someone asked about, I believe that Councilman Hadley asked about any economic benefit to the city of Rockville. And I've noticed with my own children, when we go to practices or tournaments or games in other locations, a lot of times the parents during practices will have dinner, and then we'll have team meals after games and during tournaments. So I think that the economic benefit to the city is the smallest consideration, but I think there will be a pretty large economic benefit in terms of the restaurant usage in the city of Rockville. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Martin, that would be true.
Hi, my name is Martin Benavides. I have 4 kids in the city of Rockville. My oldest is at RM. She was at Julius West. I have 2 at Julius West right now, and I have another one coming up into Julius West in a few years. I also coach for MSI Soccer. All 4 of my children have played MSI Soccer. I've coached up to 2 teams at one time. I currently coach a club team. I think that I can start out by saying yesterday I had practice at Maryvale, and I had to spend the first 5 minutes with little cones putting them into the holes that are in the field so that my girls don't get hurt. This is a big, concern for all the coaches and all the parents here who are using these fields. Similarly to what Robert said earlier, I've had my children come home and tell me about kids that they know at Julius West who have been maybe not severely injured, but have taken falls, been hurt, had their playtime cut short because of the conditions of the fields. Also, I can't speak more highly about our physical education department at Julius West and how important it is for our kids, all of our kids, to get out and be outside, be able to use the fields, be able to get their PE sessions outdoors. Makes a huge difference, especially in my son, to get that energy out and to learn and be able to play in a positive manner with his colleagues in school. So, I can't speak more highly about this project. I've had kids playing soccer, like I said, for a long time, and we've played at Julius West. I've never seen traffic issues. I've never had to leave the Julius West parking lot to park during a game or during training sessions or anything like that. As others have indicated, the bus loop in the front gets frequently used on the weekends as additional parking. There definitely is a problem during back-to-school night, but those are public roads around that school, and once or twice a year, if people are parking on public roads due to overcrowding during special events at the school, well, you bought a house next to a school. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much, and I really, really look forward to this project moving forward.
Would you mind giving us your address? You gave us your name, but not your address.
Martin Benavides, 7304 Goldring Terrace. I live in Durwood. I do not live in the city of Rockville.
Thank you. Stephanie Bloom.
So my name is Stephanie Bloom. I am a Rockville resident. I am a Julius West parent. I have 3 boys, 2 of whom are currently at Julius West and 1 who will be there in a couple years. The proposal for the lighted turf fields at Julius West, I believe, is a well thought out plan. It's a public-private partnership that brings a lot of benefit, and I think it seeks to minimize the impact on our neighborhoods. As you've heard, there's a real shortage of quality fields in our community for sports use. I can't tell you how many times my kids have been disappointed because their field is closed again because it rained 2 days ago. My son's practice tonight was canceled because it rained yesterday. Okay, it's constantly, they're missing their practices and their games so having the advantage of having such high quality fields is only going to help to alleviate the overall field shortage in our city and in our area. My house actually backs up to Maryland Avenue. I'm about a block from the school, so I'm not concerned about any increases in traffic from this proposal. There's already all the traffic from 270 and all the traffic on Maryland Avenue and Great Falls Road. I think the impact is actually going to be a pretty minimal increase from what there already is currently. In conclusion, I believe this is a well thought out proposal, which is a win-win for our school at Julius West and for all the families and children of Rockville, and I would urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Boychin? You spoke already. Noreen Bryan?
Hello, my name is Noreen Bryan. I live at 207 South Washington Street, and I'm currently president of the West End Citizens Association, where these fields are located in the West End, and I'll be testifying for WECA tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to have citizens be able to participate. It is unfortunate the approval process got off to a really bumpy start. We really didn't know what was going on. Apparently, MCPS and MSI briefed Julius West Middle School in November, but we didn't learn about this project till February when we invited them to come and speak to us in March. At that March meeting, the amount of information we got was pitifully small. They couldn't even define whether the project was approved or not. They couldn't tell us specifics of the project or impacts on the neighborhood. That left us concerned. As the staff report shows, it is clear that there's inadequate information to assess the impact of traffic, overflowed parking, the brightness of the lights, or the noise, and WECA concurs with the report's recommendation to conduct independent studies of parking and lighting, but also of noise and traffic. Further, it's essential that the results of the studies be obtained prior to a decision for or against the project. Without an understanding, to make a decision would be based on no facts and no reasonable basis. I want to give you a specific example because I was trying to figure out what would these lights do. I'm a retired physicist, and I said, okay, let's read the report. Let's see if I can understand. And one of the things that I came to, I look at it and it says, okay, each one of the bulbs called luminaires will deliver 121,000 lumens. I don't know that anybody knows what that means. I certainly don't know what that means. And so I said, okay, let's try to find a sort of man in the street type of analogy so that people can understand. So I said, okay, I'm going to try to compare this just to street lights, since most of us are used to street lights. And if one is right outside your bedroom window, you come to really dislike that street light. When I did that, I found out that each luminaire is roughly equivalent to 9 street lights. And you have the data in front of you, so I don't want it's too hard to go through all that right here. There's 86 luminaires on posts that are 60 or 70 feet high. That means it's equivalent to having 700 to 800 streetlights on that field. When I look at the presentation on glare, I'm really left with a confusion because I'm sure it's technically and scientifically correct. However, anybody who's ever been around